This season's going to be different for the 49ers, and I'm going to tell you why. But there are some other things that Sunil and I have to talk about. Also, Jacor Pearson. If that's not a name that you are familiar with, I think it is time that you get familiar with it. And I'm going to bring you up to speed on exactly who he is, where he comes from, and why you should pay attention. And we're going to do all of that next. All right. Welcome back to Last Second Sports, where we are giving you our take down to the last second. It's your boy Jesse, and it's not Tuesday, but I got my guy, So Real, Sunil, in the building. We had to call an audible, and I'm glad we did. What's up, Sunil?
Just out here living the good dream. The real reason why I couldn't go tomorrow is the Lakers are playing, so I got to represent.
Listen, I am not surprised by that, and I actually want to watch the game as well. I think you're going to be disappointed. I think Denver's going to go to the NBA Finals. I think they're the best team in the NBA, but we will see how it goes for your Lakers.
We shall see. And like usual, you're wrong, but okay.
Right, that's totally fair. Yeah, I mean, according to Warriors fans, they want the Lakers and the Celtics, and that's the only reason the Lakers beat the Warriors. So
sure, you didn't get the script, bro.
Yeah, they got the script. Apparently, they got the script. All right, before we get into our topics, I want to talk about Jacor Pearson. And I don't know how much you know about him, but this is a kid that is catching everybody's eye. There was some film or whatever that leaked from 49ers practice where he is cooking somebody deep. And a lot of people are starting to talk about him. But what's interesting about Jacor Pearson is, I don't know if do you watch Destroying at all on YouTube?
I definitely come across his clips, and it's very entertaining for sure.
Okay, well, I watch a lot of Destroying, and he's really known right now. He's linked up with the XFL, but he also is known for these one-on-one wide receiver versus DB clips. And basically what he does is he has these tournaments, one-on-one tournaments for $10,000, and it's just a bunch of DBs versus a bunch of receivers. A couple hundred show up, and you get down to the final couple, and then they split the money depending on how many people are left. Well, Jacor Pearson won a few of these, and this is where I first got put onto him. But now he is on the 49ers trying to make the team, coming over most recently from the XFL, and I'm going to talk a little bit about him. So we're talking about a kid who's 5'9", 180 pounds, 24 years old. He played college at Western Kentucky for, I believe, 4 years before he transferred to Ole Miss. And during this time, he had a season in 2019 where he had 76 catches, 804 yards, and that was at Western Kentucky. Then in 2021, he played for Ole Miss, and the best game he had there was 7 catches, 135 yards, and that was against Auburn in 2021. Well, now you fast forward, he goes and does the Destroying one-on-ones, makes it to the XFL. He led the XFL this last year in catches and yards. He had 60 catches for 670 yards, 4 touchdowns in 10 games in the XFL. Like I said, that led the league. He also was teammates with, remember Josh Gordon from the Cleveland Browns?
Say that one more time, sorry.
Do you remember Josh Gordon from the Cleveland Browns?
Of course.
Okay, he was teammates with him in the XFL. And basically was the better player of the two on the field, all right? And most recently, Jim Haslett, his coach over in the XFL, said that he clocked him running a 4.28 40.
Wow.
So I bring all of that up because we don't know if he's going to make the team. But if the 49ers are looking for a dark horse, explosive player to add to this roster, Jacor Pearson just might be that guy. And I think a lot of people need to start to take notice of who he is in case he does make the team, because this might be a real future weapon for the San Francisco 49ers. I mean, we're talking about a kid on Twitter that has less than 3,500 followers, okay? So he is not hasn't even blown up yet. But if he makes the 49ers, I have a feeling he's going to blow up, and he's going to blow up in a big way. What are your thoughts of everything that I just said about Jacor Pearson? Is he somebody that we should keep our eye on? Is it somebody you're rooting for? What are your thoughts?
Well, what was the height and weight you said?
5'8", 190 pounds.
5'8", 190. Because I read he was 5'7", and I think initially you said he was 5'9". So which one is he? 5'7",
here,
5'8",
let me see
5'9"?
what I got. Hold on. Let me pull it up. Excuse me, 5'9", 180. 5'9", 180.
Okay. So I wonder how real, because we know NFL heights are always, a little bit, it could be, usually it's a little bit shorter than what he is. But however, so 5'9", 190, and he's not going to be somebody that's going to be out jumping people, right? Because obviously he's going to be one of the shorter receivers in the league. But do I think his height and weight automatically take him out of the league? And I'm going to say no. And there's a player that has had a very, very successful career in the NFL that has similar height and weight measurements. And that's a guy by the name of Deshaun Jackson, 5'10", 175, who had a great career with the Eagles, great career with numerous teams in the NFL. And it wasn't because he could necessarily out jump guys. Obviously, it was his speed and his ability to run routes. Now, I could already tell from the little bit that I've seen of Jacor, he has the speed, right? If he's clocking a 4.2 whatever with Jim Haslett, who has coached in the NFL, and if he's saying good things about him, obviously there's something there. I think it's going to be based off of how good is his route running. If he could run routes, Jesse, I could absolutely see him as somebody that can be on this team, because obviously one thing in the league that you can never have enough of is speed. And this guy has burners. Am I rooting for him? Absolutely. But obviously when you are shorter, maybe not as heavy, you don't have the measurables. You have to be elite at other things. We know he has elite speed, but I think it's going to come down to his route running and obviously his hands. If he can have, show that he could run routes, if he could show he has, great hands, I could definitely see him getting a spot on the team, not only as a receiver, but also special teams is something that, having a good punt returner, kick returner, there's not much after Ray, right? So having somebody like that on the team, I think could definitely, there's a role for him.
Yeah, and a lot of people are saying he's only 5'7". I don't care if he's 5'2". Like, if you can play, you can play. And the way that I see it is, if you, and obviously the XFL is not the NFL, but there's a lot of players that came from the NFL. There's a lot of players getting second chances in the NFL just off this last year. And so to lead that league says something. I mean, he obviously can play some ball. And if he somehow makes this team and finds his way on the field, it's not like we're looking at him to be the number one guy. If he's a fifth or a sixth option with that kind of speed, I mean, I don't know. There's a lot of creativity you can do with him and CMC and Kittle and Ayuk and Debo on the field together. I don't know. He's intriguing. He's very, very intriguing to me. And, a player that killed it in the league you're talking about, and thank you. Brother Bob just said it. I was going to say Darren Sproles. You remember him?
Right.
Very, very quick, very small. He made it in the league as a running back, obviously two different positions. But the kid is tough. He played safety in high school. He's just an elite athlete. So I'm intrigued, to say the least. I'm not here to say that he's going to make the team and that he's going to be a superstar. But if he somehow finds his way on this roster, I wouldn't be shocked. And I think there's a lot of interesting things the 49ers can do with him. And I think a lot of teams have tried over the last few years, the Rams, Seahawks. We've seen the Cardinals do it. Take some of these smaller, speedier players that haven't panned out. Well, maybe this is a guy who took an interesting path to get to the NFL. And now that he's finally here, maybe he does pan out and he does it for the San Francisco 49ers. So I'm just intrigued. That's all I'm going to say. I'm very intrigued by the kid.
He's going to be fun to watch if he does make it. So that's good.
For sure. Most definitely. Okay. So that was the shout out to Jacor Pearson. I highly recommend just go check him out on YouTube. Go check out his highlights. His name is spelled Jahcor. Cour, Jacor. Go check him out. Okay. Let's talk about the 49ers in general. And taking the whole offseason into account, we've had the draft, all of that. Where do you think on paper the 49ers need to improve the most?
So I obviously prepped the wrong question because I thought the question was where are the 49ers biggest question mark, which I think is two
You
different
can,
things.
hey, that's fine. Biggest question marks need to improve. I think that's all totally fine. I mean, possibility to improve, whatever. Take it however you want.
So my question, the answer that I'm giving is where's the biggest question mark, and I
Okay,
think
let's do it.
I think the right answer or the main answer is going to be quarterback because we don't know who the quarterback is. But I wanted to take a different route, and this is something that I think we kind of just took for granted, but I think is also a very big question mark as far as how everybody involved is going to respond. And to me, Jesse, that's going to be Steve Wilkes. And the reason why is, Steve Wilkes is obviously well respected in the league. I think he's a player's coach. I think that he has a lot of attributes that obviously people admire. But as far as his results as a defensive coordinator, haven't necessarily. I mean, he hasn't been the head of an elite defense in any of his runs as a defensive coordinator. So there's one thing. Now, he's never had as much talent on his team as he has with the 49ers, and he hasn't been a part of as stable of an organization as the 49ers have been, underneath the Shanahan and Lynch regime. So those are also two things that would be in his favor. But, this 49ers defense has turned into a really, really elite defense. We can all admit, right? They've been top 5, top 10 for the last however many years. Now, with that being said, the coaching staff has had very little turnover. And what I mean by turnover is everybody. So first it was Robert Saleh, and then D'Amico Ryans was already on the staff. He had been part of the defensive staff since the regime started. So even though it was a new defensive coordinator, it was a hire from within. So all the terminology, everything is, was the same with just a few minor tweaks, right? This is the first time we're going to see this defense run by somebody that hasn't been on the team throughout the whole regime. And underneath and having, a really, really major role. So I think we all assume that everything is just going to be business as usual. And for the most part, maybe we should assume that it's just going to be business as usual. But this is something that's extremely new to this regime. This is a coach that hasn't been the head of an elite defense before. So that to me is a question mark. Like we expect it to be still a top 5 defense. But if there is an issue with the defense, or if we start seeing it not live up to those expectations, maybe it is a lot of change to just expect that it's going to be business as usual. So to me, I think that's a big question mark that not too many people are talking about.
Interesting. Okay. Twisted Clown says Kyle's decision making will be the dark horse. Yeah, maybe. We were talking about Jacor Pearson. Maybe that will be the dark horse for sure. Twisted Clown. Appreciate the super chat. Yeah, I definitely think Wilkes is a question mark. Is it fair to say though that you believe that he will answer those questions, or do you think you're worried about it?
No, I think there's more of a chance that the defense does fine and is still elite than is not. But it is something that I think we just are taking for granted. And I think somebody said that he did well in Carolina, which sure, I don't know what you define as well. They didn't make the playoffs. They did, do better at the end of the season, but he was head coach there and he had been part of that regime, right? He's somebody that the players already knew. coaches already knew all that kind of stuff. Once again, an internal hire. Whereas here, he's totally outside of the organization. And this is the first time the defense is going to see a brand new coach, right? They've always had people that they've been familiar with. So just something to be aware of, I would say.
I gotta know what the story is behind changing your name to Flav's son. I don't. I know that there's like a bunch of like Flav hate in the chats, but I gotta understand where this came from. Did you lose a bet? Is it just to be funny? I don't know. I'm curious to see what's going on there. I do. I think that's fair. I think it's definitely a question mark. I'm not too worried about it. Steve Wilkes was, when we talked about it, I mean, this was, months ago, but we both wanted Wilkes. And so
Right.
happy that he's here. But I do think it's fair. We don't know for sure. I mean, shoot, we're talking biggest question marks. We just went, special teams has been one of those things where the 49ers have been up and down over the last few years. And last year they spent a lot of money on the special teams to get better. And it didn't look so pretty very early on, but as the season progressed, they got better. And one thing that we can say is Robbie Gould has definitely been declining, but once he got to the playoffs, that man was money. He does not miss.
Mm-hmm.
And so now you've got a rookie kicker. How does that translate? How does that translate in the regular season? How does that translate with the game on the line? How does that translate, most importantly, to the postseason? I think the assumption is he's going to be great as well. 3rd round pick, best kicker in the draft, supposedly. So I think the question mark definitely has to be there as well. I mean, this is somebody that you're going to ask to come in and put up, be your leading scorer all season. So
Right.
Can he do that? And can he do it with consistency? I'm not saying he can't, but I think it's definitely a question mark for sure.
100%. And I mean, we've seen other teams be ravaged by having bad kickers, right? We've seen games be lost. We've seen, playoff seeding be messed up, not even making the playoffs because you don't have a good kicker. So it is something that our team has taken, as a 49er, we've kind of taken it for granted. But, I believe in Moody. I think that not only will he help out in, with field goals, but also, in just the kicking game overall with more touchbacks and starting field position and all that kind of stuff. So, but definitely I think could be on the list of biggest question mark.
Yeah, most certainly. Is there any other question marks that came to mind when you thought about this whole thing?
I mean, obviously quarterback, and we've talked about that at length.
Mm-hmm.
I think to me, and I don't know if it's so much a question mark, it's more just like, what's the offensive line rotation going to look like, right? Because Brunskill had been such a big part of this offensive line, as far as kind of being a stopgap. Like he was, rotating with Burford. He has played, center for the Niners. He's played tackle for the Niners. He's kind of played everywhere. And him being gone, now it's kind of like, okay, well, who's going to step up if and when, one of these offensive linemen go down? The question, seeing Feliciano be signed, and he's saying that he feels like he's going to be a starter. Well, if he's a starter, who's not? You know what I mean? Like, so I think that's going to be, through training camp, kind of find out what that rotation is going to look like. I'm not worried about the offensive line. I think we've always complained. The 49ers have always, are faithful, have always questioned whether the offensive line's been going to be good, and it's always been good. It's never been necessarily the reason why the team loses type of thing. So, but I'm interested to see who ends up being in that rotation. So yeah, that would probably be another question mark for me.
Texas Niner says you are touching on his biggest question mark as well. So that's one for him. And Brother Bob, you didn't lie. You said you were getting the credit card out to become a member, and you did just that. So I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much. I would say another question mark is who's going to start opposite of Bosa? Who's the other defensive end? There's some candidates out there. I think we assume that it's probably going to be Drake Jackson, but we don't know that for sure.
I don't.
And the 49ers definitely have money. They could go out and get somebody else if they feel like that person is not currently in-house. So I'm curious to see who is that other person that starts opposite of Bosa, and how do they fare this season? Because The defensive line is certainly very stout, but that's a question mark as well. What do you think?
Did you watch the Steve Wilkes press? Of course you watched it, but it was interesting because Wilkes gave high praise to all the players that was asked about except one, and that one was Drake Jackson. He actually gave some criticism, and he was like he was more unsure of whether or not Drake Jackson was gonna, get it right away. He did mention that he had been there all off season. He had been working on his size, but his strength and all that kind of stuff. But he said there was a lot of room for improvement, and we'll see if he ends up getting to that point. So it wasn't like somebody who was a shoe in to get that. Didn't seem like he was overly impressed by Drake Jackson, which I think, to me that raised my eyebrows, because I was like, wow, he's over here talking about every other player in a glowing light, but for some reason, it was more kind of like, we'll wait and see with Drake Jackson. So I don't know if you got that same feeling when he gave that answer, but to me, that was my takeaway.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely did talk about putting on size and strength so that he can last through the season. That was, a compliment, I guess. But yeah, I guess kind of thinking it through, he was kind of like, we'll see. He loved Kinlaw, though, didn't he? He sure did love Kinlaw.
That's what I'm saying. That's kind of worrisome, right? Because we know what we're getting.
What talking about. Oh man, Michael Monahan says more blitzing and an improved secondary, scary good. Yeah, I think that's what we expect from Wilkes for sure, is more blitzing and an improved secondary. And I think it would be great if we can get those things. No doubt about it. Flav's son says, under Wilkes, after Rule left, they went from 24th in scoring, 18.6 points a game under Rule, to 15th, 22.1, last in yards per game to 17th, and 27th in rushing. But this is all offensive stuff, right? Like they improved offensively. He's our defensive coordinator. But I will say this. This is where Shanahan is kind of a step ahead with his offensive play calling. Is he started out as a defensive guy. And so he really knows how to put players in conflict. He knows what the rules are. So he knows if he runs certain combinations, he's going to get specific things from defenders. And he knows how to put them in that conflict. Wilk showing that the offense can improve is actually a good thing for a guy who's a defensive coach, because it shows you that he understands the rules of a defense as well and knows how to exploit it, which you would assume means he knows how other people might try to exploit his defense and how to counter that. And that's what I like as well. One more thing about Wilkes, though, that is interesting is he said that he is going to be calling his defensive game from the booth, not the sideline. Any thoughts on that?
Once again, like I said, it's different, right? We're used to seeing very, very high energy coaches. We're used to seeing, Sala. We're used to seeing D'Amico run out there and, high five his players and, tap him on the helmet and really get energized and all that kind of stuff. You can't do that from up top, right? So definitely something different. Once again, like I said, we'll see if it works, right? We're used to something in a certain way, and that certain way has worked very, very well. Now, all of a sudden, we're looking at it very different. I understand it too, because, he's more of a secondary guy. So obviously having that view from the top, I think probably the way his mind works might be able to process things a little bit different from the booth, but we'll see. I mean, I think it's going to be more of he's probably going to lean on some of the coaches that are continuing to be on the staff, whether it be Bullock or Kosaric, to maybe be that kind of bridge to the players for him, or on the field. But yeah, like I said, it's something different, which is why I have a question mark.
Yeah, it is definitely different. And one of the things that I liked in particular about the Wilkes hires, I felt like from a personality standpoint, he'd be able to bridge that gap. They went from Sala to D'Amico Ryans. And then I thought going to Wilkes, or I still think going to Wilkes, was like, that's about as even keel as you can get. You got three guys that are high energy, leaders of men. And that's what you hear about Wilkes. And so I was like, all right, this is perfect. But it is interesting that he's not going to be calling the games from the sideline, which means his energy and his leadership might not show through during games as much as it could when you are on the sidelines. The benefit is you're seeing the whole field, probably easier to call plays from there. So I don't know. We'll see. I'm interested to see how all of that plays out, but that is going to be something different, no doubt about it.
And one other thing, Jesse, is when a new coach, like Salah to D'Amico, there's kind of like the status quo that's there. Everybody kind of understands how things are going. Everybody kind of knows what they're getting from the coach. And, D'Amico could put his tweaks on it, but there isn't like this overhaul of culture change or the way things are going day in and day out. Wilkes coming in, you wonder, because he's brand new, does he feel like he has something to prove? Does he feel like he has to put his stamp on this and make it, a defense in his kind of reflection to like prove his worth type of situation? Does he outthink himself? Because even a move like this is something completely out of the realm of what we're used to seeing under 49ers. So I don't know if that's what to expect, is a lot of things that are just not the same. Doesn't mean it's not going to work. It's just, like I said, we got to wait and see how it's going to go.
Third string All-Pro says the Northwestern rookie QB we have had the same UCL tear that Purdy did and the same surgery. Krug said that he's never seen a guy throw the ball so good. Yeah, I mean, everybody, it seems like, is a good quarterback other than Trey Lance. I mean, maybe he's the best thrower of the football that Krug's ever seen. That's a possibility. I only half joke. Yeah, that's a good thing. I don't think that anybody's going to. I don't think anybody really thinks, or they shouldn't, that Purdy's not going to come back. But it's not like, I don't know when that injury happened for that quarterback. Is he a year plus removed? How long did it take to regain all of his strength? I mean, that's, those are definite question marks. It's not a matter of if, it's just a matter of when, and how quickly can he regain that strength while also getting better and improving on the things he needs to improve on and being ready to play football. It's a short timeline. So we'll see. Okay. Let's move on to the opposite side of this. Areas to be the most confident in. What do you think here?
I think the running attack is going to be elite. I think we really have the opportunity to be a top 5 rushing attack again, with a full season of CMC, Elijah Mitchell being healthy, the continuity with the offensive line, all of that I think points in the right direction of the running game being super elite. So I think that's one thing that if there was like a prop bet about the 49ers being a top 5 rushing attack, I would probably put my money on that is going to happen.
Yeah, definitely. Going back to question marks, though, the run game's not a question mark, but DDP, does he even make this team? I mean, they brought in a couple other undrafted running backs that seem to be doing well. I don't know. I mean, there might not be a spot for TDP on this roster. Is he the second guy in a row to get drafted in round 3 and then get cut a year later? I'm curious to see what happens to TDP this year, what he brings to the table.
What about you? What are some things that you're pretty confident in?
Oh, man. I mean, defense as a whole, I think, is going to be great. Just from a player standpoint, Fred Warner's a year older. Charvarius Ward now has a full year in this defense. We've got Lenore, who's got basically almost a full year starting now. He's got to be very confident. I think as good as Talanoa Hufanga was last year, I think he can be better this year. It was kind of the tale of 2 seasons for him. He had an all-pro caliber season for like 8 games and then really kind of disappeared and started to make a lot of mistakes. I think all of that is good for his development and his growth. So now it's his second full year starting. We've got a bunch of players who essentially redshirted last year. Which one of those guys is going to step forward? I just think this defense is going to be really, really good again. And, a lot of people wonder how the 49ers without a quarterback or their for sure quarterback continue to compete. And not only that, why are they always in these games? It seems like the 49ers rarely, if ever, get blown out. They always show up. They always compete. And that's because they can run the ball and they can play defense. And I don't expect that to change at all. And I think when you can run the ball and play defense as well as the 49ers can, for them, that's going to carry them through the season because the schedule is brutal. There's a lot of travel, but they're always going to be in every game. Every single game I expect them to compete in, no matter what's going on, because of those two things. And I think that's something that we've been able to count on for the 49ers. I think that's going to be something that we continue to count on for the 49ers.
Yeah, and to piggyback off of the defense, the two, I guess, weaknesses, if you could say that, of the defense is dealing with speed, and at certain points, more at the beginning of the season than end of the season, but definitely at certain points, stopping the run. I think that one of those things, stopping the run, we saw that the 49ers tightened it up later in the season where they ended up being one of the toughest teams to run on. But the addition of Javon Hargrave, I think, is going to really solidify that and keep that as, a big strength. And I think just, the addition of Wilkes, even though I said there is a question mark there, I think just the way that he plays as far as the too high and the zone, I think it's usually to stop those big plays. And, I hope that dealing with speed is something that the 49ers get better at because, the receivers in the league aren't coming in slower. Let's just put it that way. So that ability to be able to have that communication, because they didn't really add speed to their defense, right? As far as with their corners and their safeties, all of them are a little bit challenged when it comes to speed. So it's going to be, that's one thing that, can be a weakness of ours. So hopefully the defensive line, gets to the quarterback a lot quicker so that we don't have to deal with those plays.
Yeah, most definitely. The Young Montana says, let's just say LSS merch looks 100 times better than the cone head merch. Grant needs a new designer. So two things. One, I think Grant's merch fit him perfectly in his personality. And two, out of all the things, there's one that you should like. There was one that was a picture of him and it said cone heads and it was him as a cone head. I actually made that shirt. So so shout out to that shirt. If there's anything you like, it should be that one. That one was hilarious. So and I actually have it in my closet. Maybe I'll wear it to camp. I think that'd be super funny. Maybe I'll embarrass him a little bit by doing that.
You might not get any interviews though.
Yeah, it's fine. I don't really care. I could care less. Okay, so the schedule came out, and I know that I talked about it on this show briefly, but I did it as a call-in show, had a week to sit on it, essentially. I know you've had, some time to look at it as well, and I think it would be fun to go game by game and just see the schedule prediction that we each come up with out of the 49ers schedule. Let's see where they stand, and I've got something, I'm not going to say it now, but I think there's something different about this season for the 49ers, and that's going to come through this schedule review that we're about to do, and I'll tell you what that is at the end, so stay tuned for that for sure.
Look at the teaser. This dude's
better.
media trained right now.
I'm getting better. Okay, so 49ers schedule, let me say this, week 1, anybody that's going to be in Pittsburgh, definitely hit me up. I will be doing anything that is 49ers related that weekend. I'll be in town Saturday. I'll be leaving Monday, but I will be at the Steelers game. I couldn't miss the opening game. I'll be there with my boy, and he is traveling from Virginia. He's going to drive there. I'm going to fly there, and we're going to meet. But I'm excited to go see the Steelers versus the 49ers. What do you think happens in this one? And let me preface this by saying the Steelers at home, week 1, are 8-1 in their last 9 times, and under Tomlin, they're 8-1. So they're very good at home, week 1 specifically. What are your thoughts in this game?
Yeah, and the opposite is to be said of Kyle Shanahan and the 49ers in these games, right?
True.
So
yeah.
I am obviously a homer. I'm a Shanistan, but reality is, because of what you just mentioned, I actually have the 49ers opening up with a loss against Pittsburgh, because 49ers tend to be shaky in week 1, to say the least. A couple years ago, they went out and looked like they were about to blow out the Lions. We all remember that game, and they allowed the Lions to get back in there and make it a game. Obviously, last year the monsoon game against Chicago didn't turn out very well, but if you're gonna get the 49ers, you're gonna get them in the beginning half of the season, and especially week one. They tend to not play their best ball week one. So I actually have Pittsburgh winning this game.
I need everybody to throw a boo in the chat. Can we get boos in the chat? Boo, boos to Neil. Jamal Parker says, will JP Mason get more touches this year? I hope so, man. I think he's a really good player, and I hope that they don't go crazy with CMC and his touches. I hope they reserve him and don't give him 23 to 25 a game. And I think a great way to do that is by letting Mason get his touches and do his thing. Will BA be the big dog he is known to be? I think so, man. I think BA is a hell of a player. I think he broke out last year. I think he might break out even more this year. And will Shanahan let Trey/Darnold cook more? Hopefully he doesn't let Darnold cook unless it's with like kid gloves and maybe like in a easy bake oven or something like that. Or maybe he lets him make PB&Js. I don't want to see any of that cooking. But hopefully he lets Trey cook if he plays for sure. I appreciate the comment. Tinker says, when the lights go out in the city, Steelers-Niners, week one. All right, first of all, the fact that you picked the Niners to lose in a game that I'm going to be in attendance, spent my hard-earned money to go see, travel to Pittsburgh, they are not going to lose week one with me in attendance. It's just not going to happen. The 49ers are going to win week one. I don't know how the Steelers are going to score. Can you riddle me that with Pickett, two gloves, baby hands, I don't know, whatever you want to call him. I just don't see it, man. I don't think he's a very good quarterback. And what's interesting, though, is I want to throw this out there. If Purdy starts week one, Purdy was the last pick in the draft. Pickett was the first quarterback selected in that same draft. That would be an interesting matchup for sure. Right. A lot of storylines there, but no way. Pittsburgh is not winning that game.
Wow, the confidence in which you spoke it into existence. Usually when Jesse's this confident, it's not a good look for the 49ers. So I probably doubled down on the Pittsburgh Steelers probably win this game, unfortunately, because,
Jesse's I broke my streak last year versus the Rams.
Versus the Rams.
Okay, all right.
Versus the Rams. But I hope so. Look, I want the 49ers to go undefeated, but if I'm just using my reason, this game I think is a loss. But hey, I hope I'm wrong.
All right. Well, speaking of the Rams, week 2, they travel to play the Rams at Levi South. Who do you have winning this game, and why is it the 49ers?
Yeah, look, I go to all the Rams 49ers games when it's here in LA because I live out here in LA. It is tough for the Rams to beat the 49ers in LA. And the reason for that is it's got to be so disheartening to look up in the stands and it's just all red. Like when I'm trying to tell, for those of you guys that haven't been able to experience this, I'm saying like it is red. Like it's hard to find a Rams fan. That's how much the stadium is just all 49er fans. I took my friend last year to the game, and he's the Eagles fan that I talk about a lot on the show. Yeah. He was shocked, Jesse. Like he couldn't believe that he was at a Rams game because he thought he was in San Francisco because of how red. I'm talking the restrooms are all red. The concession stands are all red. The stands are all red. Like it's like if you're a Rams fan, you're getting made fun of so bad for wearing a Rams jersey to actual Rams game. Like we've seen it. We've seen the Rams literally try to not sell tickets to 49er fans. That's how bad it is for Rams fans when we go there. So absolutely, that's a bona fide win for the 49ers.
All right, I agree. Zach says they better not when I'm traveling to see him. He's going to the Pittsburgh game as well. So he's saying they better not lose. I agree. Tinker says, no. I'm a 49er But you do remember when the lights went out, right? In Pittsburgh, way before the Super Bowl. Yes, I do remember that. But they are not losing to the Rams. Let's be clear about that. Um, he's talking about when they went out Steel City. All right. Okay. I
So I got
agree.
him at 1-1. You got him at 2-0.
2-0. Yeah, yeah. Definitely got him at 2-0. And I promise I don't have him going undefeated, but I do have him at 2-0. Now, they've got their first Thursday night football game of the year. I hate, by the way, that they've got 2 Thursday night football games. And I hate that the league even does Thursday night football games. The way that I propose Thursday night football games is they should start in week 3 and they should only, or excuse me, week 4, and they should only happen after a team is coming off of a bye, and they should do 2 bye weeks. Every team should get 2 bye weeks, and the 2 teams that are playing in the Thursday night game should both be coming off of a bye. I think that's the way they should do it. They would get a lot better product. Plus, you're making more money because you're getting an extra week of the regular season. I don't know. To me, it's a no-brainer. The league clearly hasn't figured this one out yet. That being said, Thursday night football, first home game of the season against a very tough game. Giants defense for sure. How do you have this one going?
Yeah, and potentially, because of this would be the first mobile quarterback, right? Danny Dimes obviously is known for his legs, so that's always been kind of a 49ers, Achilles heel, has been a mobile quarterback. However, I also think that the 49ers just have too much on both sides of the ball for the Giants. I don't know how they're going to be able to create offense, really. Obviously, they have Saquon. I think the 49ers are smart and really just try to stop the run, force, Danny Dimes to throw the ball. And when you're looking at his receivers, obviously they got Darren Waller, who I think, is a stud. But outside of that, the receivers aren't really people that strike fear in your heart. So I do think that the defense is just too much for the Giants. And even though you said they have a good defense, I don't know if they're good enough to really slow down the 49ers. So I have this as a win.
Yeah, I agree with you. I have the 49ers at 3-0. I think the Giants are pretty good. I mean, maybe they're a 9-8 team. Maybe they sneak into the playoffs again, but good defense. Danny Dimes can be a handful depending on what's going on, and obviously Saquon Barkley. But overall, the 49ers are just a much better team than the Giants. So I have that as a win as well. I have the 49ers at 3-0. You have them at 2-1.
Mm-hmm.
Week 4 at home again against the Arizona Cardinals. How do you have this one going?
Dub. I don't even know who the Arizona quarterback is. Is D-Hop on the team at this time? Is he not on the team? I think by week 4, this team is falling apart. And the team being Arizona Cardinals. I don't think they like the coach over there. I don't think, I don't even know if they're really trying to win this season. They might be trying to go for the number 1, seed and try to get the USC quarterback next year's draft. So to me, yeah, this is a dub for the 49ers. They're 3-1 in my books.
I think that it might be the rookie Clayton Tune. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see if it's going to be him or not. But I'm curious because I think he might be pretty good. Maybe not as a rookie, but I think he might be pretty good. Yeah, the 49ers win this game at home, coming off of 10 days from the previous game, a big win against the Giants. I have them 3-0. They're riding high. I now have them at 4-0 after beating the Cardinals. You have them at 3-1. And here we go. Sunday Night Football, third straight home game for the San Francisco 49ers on October 8th against the Dallas Cowboys. How do you have this game going?
Yeah, and once again, this is going to be, I think, the first time the 49ers really are going to get challenged on the defensive side of the ball. Obviously, we've seen Michael Parsons do a lot of damage to the 49ers. This is the first matchup of the season where talent-wise, the 49ers just don't dominate on paper the other team because the Cowboys obviously have, just as much talent, especially, on the offensive side of the ball. For me, I have this as a W, though, still. I think that the 49ers just find a way to beat the Cowboys. And, I don't think this is going to be a blowout by any sense of the imagination. I think it's going to be a very entertaining game. But just like the 49ers always do, they're going to break the Cowboys' hearts in the fourth quarter. Cowboys are going to have, a chance to, get back into the game or make some plays that could help them win the game. And they're not going to execute because we know the Cowboys don't know how to execute against the 49ers. So I got them winning this game.
Okay, so you have them at 4-1.
Yeah.
Matthew Sanders says, "What's up, boys? Good to see you both thriving. I had to unsubscribe after the NFC Championship loss just for my mentals, but coming back around, let's freaking go." Well, good to see you back in the chat, Matthew, Matt. Funny, though, that you unsubscribe from all the 49ers channels just so you don't even see it on your feed. That's crazy, man. That's crazy. But I do appreciate you coming back around. Tinker says Super Bowl prediction is San Fran versus the Raiders. Yeah, right. Come on, man. Jimmy G's going to be in the Super Bowl. Nee says easy dub. Cowboys lost their starting center in Zeke. Okay, all right. Well, we'll see about that one.
That's hilarious.
That is good. That's good. Okay, so this one's versus the Cowboys. I actually have this as the first 49er loss on the season. The 49ers have definitely owned this matchup the last couple years. I think for the Cowboys, this is very important game to them. Obviously, it's important to win every game, but I think this game just means so much for the Cowboys, who have been embarrassed twice now against the 49ers. I don't know if they could stomach doing it again. So I have a feeling they come in with some extra energy. They get it done. The 49ers are riding high at 4-0, and I have this as the first loss for the San Francisco 49ers. We both have them at 4-1 at this point.
So you have them losing at home against the Cowboys.
Yep, I do. Yep.
But somehow the Pittsburgh game. Okay.
Yep. You got it.
Interesting.
Okay. All right. After the Cowboys Sunday night game, they go on the road to play at Cleveland. Who do you have winning this game?
So this was kind of interesting because what Cleveland team shows up, right? Because Cleveland on paper, once again, is another team that has a lot of talent around them. Deshaun Watson had an up and down season last year. However, I do think he comes back with a vengeance this year. I think that, having all that time off and playing football definitely showed up last year. So I do think we're going to have prime Deshaun Watson in this. I personally think that they beat the Cowboys before. I think this is going to be the letdown game. Going to Cleveland against a very good defensive line. I think that they have a lot of weapons there. Nick Chubb obviously is a great running back. So I just think that this could be a game that is tough in Cleveland, wintertime type of thing. I see this as a tough, close, but loss for the 49ers.
Okay. It's interesting because I talked about this when the schedule first came out, and I got a lot of pushback. Obviously, we don't know what Deshaun Watson we're going to get. If we get anything close to prime Deshaun Watson, then Cleveland's going to be a real interesting team to watch for sure. They just got Zadarius Smith in a trade. So now they've got two very good pass rushers. Cleveland's stacked. They got a really good team. I actually have the 49ers losing this one as well. We have them at the same record at this point. We both have them at, 4-2 we have them at this point?
Except I don't have them on a 2-game losing streak.
No, you definitely don't, which I guess that means something around here. But we both have them at 4-2. I think they lose this game as well, which means now they've got a Monday Night Football game against the aforementioned Minnesota Vikings at home, on the road in Minnesota. Let me get some get back here because I think I'm losing the chat and they're mad at me for picking the 49ers to lose 2 straight. Right. I think the 49ers definitely win this game. I think they win this game going away. They're pissed at this point, and I have them at 5-2. What say you?
Yeah, I mean, this is Kirk Cousins in primetime. We already know what happens with Kirk Cousins in primetime, especially against his favorite coach of all time. He's going to choke, and that choke is going to lead to a 49ers win. I do think that the 49ers handedly beat the Vikings. And look, there's a lot of talk that Dalvin Cook isn't going to be a Viking this season. So they're talking about possibly cutting him, which sounds insane to me. But so maybe that running game isn't as prolific. Obviously, we know that passing game is, but at the end of the day, it is Kirk Cousins on primetime, and he doesn't have a very good record there. So I have this as a win for the 49ers. They're at 5-2.
I'm curious to see if they cut Dalvin Cook where he ends up. Buffalo could certainly use him. Maybe he goes and plays with his brother over in Buffalo. There's a lot of teams that could use him. Maybe he ends up as a Cowboy. Seems like they always pick up everybody. I don't know. We'll see what happens with Dalvin Cook, who's still a very good and productive player. But I think Minnesota saves around $9 million by cutting him, and it seems like they're clearly cutting costs at this point. Tinker says he didn't unsubscribe from channels. He went to Cabo for his mentals. And I think I remember when you were going to Cabo, we were doing 49ers After Dark, and you were at the airport throwing a bunch of money Grant's way. And he follows it up and says, so you're saying our defense is going to be tired already versus Cleveland? No, not necessarily. I think the defense will be fine, but I do have them losing to Cleveland. I'm surprised that we actually agreed on that one. I thought I would be all alone on that one. Okay, so we both have them at 5-2. Now they're coming back home a couple days before Halloween here, and they are playing against the Cincinnati Bengals. Cincinnati Bengals team that I have going to the Super Bowl out of the AFC this year. How do you have this one going?
Yeah, so this one, once again, I think, is a very, very tough game. I think the 49ers really get up for this game, Jesse, for the fact that you talked about. I think that, the 49ers are probably circling this game and being like, this is a potential Super Bowl caliber team. This is a team that we might have to play to win the chip. So I think they get up for this. I think that the 49ers are a more complete team than the Bengals. They might have the edge, obviously, at quarterback, possibly at receiver, but maybe not. But I think defensively, the 49ers are much better than the Bengals are. So I look at this as a very, very close game, but I think the 49ers edge it.
Scott has a really interesting stat here. He says San Francisco is 0-6 in their last 6 games in Minnesota, despite being favored several times. We suck in Middle America in the regular season. 0-5 in their last 5 in Kansas City, 1-8 in their last 9 in Green Bay, and 1-5 in their last 6 in Denver. That is an interesting stat. Very, very.
How many of those were Kirk Cousins on Monday night, though, Scott? How many of those was Kirk Cousins on Monday night? Because put up those Kirk Cousins on Monday night stats. They look pretty bad, too.
Strawberry React says, might be too mesmerized by Kirk Cousins. That's totally fair. I mean, Shanahan might be. And somebody, I can't find it now. Oh, here it is. James says, Kyle will lose on purpose to convince the 49ers brass to trade for Kirk Cousins at the trade deadline. Unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. So I just said it. I have Cincy going to the Super Bowl out of the AFC. I think they are a very good team. They're actually an improved team. They've made some good moves this offseason, bolstering that offensive line. But I think the 49ers win this one as well. And so now we've got them going into the bye week.
And I think that's another important point to make, Jesse, going into the bye week, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this is a game where they could put full energy into it, knowing that they're getting a long break after that. So I find it hard to believe that they're not gonna win that game.
Yeah, so we both have them at 6-2 at this point going into the bye week. We have different ways of going about it. I have them losing to the Cowboys and the Browns. You have them losing to the Steelers and the Browns. We both have them beating Cincinnati, which is good because I thought you were going to have us go 0-4 in the AFC North. Glad to see that is not the case. Tinker says 49ers kill them. And then Gammon says Jesse was getting roasted for his call-in. Yeah, I think that was when I said that they would lose to Cleveland. Knees at the bye, based on your records, assuming Lance has been the starter, does he remain the starter or do they switch to Purdy? No, if he started all those games and they're 6-2, they're not going back to Purdy. It would stay with Trey Lance.
What record would they have to be to switch quarterbacks based off of what we know about Kyle Shanahan and how he sticks with the hot hand?
I mean, let's say that he's for sure going to get 4 games. Okay. I think they have to come out of that 3-1. Now we have them I have them at 4-0. You have them at 3-1. I think either way, you would have Trey Lance staying in there. But if it was going into the bye week, I think 6-2, 5-3, they might get away with 5-3, and it all depends on how he's playing as well. So, I think there's multiple factors that go into this.
Got it.
All right. Next game out of the bye week, traveling all the way to closer to my neck of the woods over here in Florida. They are playing at Jacksonville against the Jaguars. Who do you have winning this game?
The London Jaguars.
The London Jaguars, yes. But they're playing in Florida.
Right. Yeah, I think coming out of a bye, especially with the travel that the Jaguars are going to do, if I'm not mistaken, I think they've been, I don't know if they've already traveled to London or if it's after this game, but
well, they have back-to-back games in London, I think.
Yeah, that's why I'm calling them. Yeah, they have 2 games out there, so they're out there for like a couple weeks. Yeah, I have the 49ers winning this game. I think coming out of a bye, they're very tough to beat. So I have them 7-2 at this point.
I agree with you. I think they beat the Jaguars as well. I don't believe I'll be at that game. I've been to Jacksonville. I don't really care to go back, to be honest. But I might be at this next game. Believe it or not, I'll be in Oregon for the week of Thanksgiving. This game falls on the week of Thanksgiving. Just a few days before Thanksgiving, it would be a short 1-day in and out flight. I could get to that game, and I have tickets at face value if I want them. So I might be at this home game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers November 19th. Who do you have winning this game?
I don't have Baker Mayfield ever beating the 49ers. So, I mean, I think Tampa Bay is in a rebuild year for them. They do have a lot of talent there, but I just don't have enough faith in what that team is at the moment. So I think the 49ers get a dub.
Yeah. Tinker says, thank you. Clemson is definitely losing that one. I like how you call him Clemson. That's funny. Pretty sure I said Thanksgiving. Maybe I said Dangsgiving. Maybe I said Danksgiving. Maybe I'm going to mess with you for the rest of the show and say whatever I want and try to make it sound like Thanksgiving. I don't know. I have the 49ers beating the Buccaneers here as well. So what? We both have them at 8-2 at this point?
Correct.
Okay. Now this is the big one. On Thanksgiving versus the Seattle Seahawks at home. The first of this matchup between these two teams, Thursday night game, obviously. Who do you have winning this game?
So I have the spoiler alert for those that are like on their edge about what Sunil's going to say. I have them splitting the series with Seattle. So one of these they're going to win, one of these they're going to lose. I think they'll lose away. So I think they'll lose this game in Seattle. So, yeah, I have them losing this one.
You have them losing on Thanksgiving again to the Seattle Seahawks. Thank goodness no turducken will be eaten by Richard Sherman. That's nice. I also have them losing this game on Thanksgiving to the Seattle Seahawks. That's 2 games we now agree on. Crazy.
2 losses. Wow.
Sure. All right. Now, this isn't a stretch of a couple tough games here because now they go on the road. The rematch of the NFC Championship. Who do you have winning this game in Philadelphia?
So we both have them coming off of a loss to a rival. A lot of energy in that game, right? A lot of hatred in that game.
Yep.
That hatred isn't going away because we know now that the Eagles versus the 49ers is another crazy, we've seen Debo talk about he hates the Eagles. Obviously, these fan base, this is going to be probably the craziest week on Twitter for us as a 49er fan base against the Eagles fan base. My heart says they win, My mind's telling me no.
My body.
Unfortunately, I do have them losing this game, and the reason for that is I don't think they'll be able to sweep the Eagles, but I do think they're going to play the Eagles again in the playoffs, and I think they're going to get them there. I think that they drop this one though.
Okay, so you have them 9-4?
4, yep.
Okay. So the 49ers have talked a lot of trash this offseason. Deebo Samuel in particular has talked a lot of trash. I fully expect that the 49ers back their trash talk up. I expect this to be Deebo Samuel, assuming health, one of his better games, if not his best game of the season. And coming off of plenty of rest going into this game, high emotion, I believe the 49ers beat the Philadelphia Eagles on the road. And at this point, I have them 10-3. You have them 9-4. Tinker had them at 9-2. I don't know where he's got them now. He said Seattle might just might get us, brother. Crazy. Yeah, we both have them. We both have them getting us. However, nice thing is they get their chance again.
We get that get back, baby. We get that get back
against the Seahawks again. You have them losing 2 straight going into this game. I have them beating the Eagles, but losing to Seattle on Thanksgiving. We both agree right here, right? They beat the Seattle Seahawks.
Absolutely. They get some home cooking. They've been on the road the last 2 weeks against hated rivals. In my mind, they've lost those 2 games, so they want some revenge. They get a chance. And I look at this game, Jesse, I don't think this game's close. I think all their anger gets taken out on Seattle, and they make Seattle look like they shouldn't even be on the same field.
I like it. So you have them at 10-4. I have them at 11-3 at this point. Now they've got to travel to Arizona. Kyler Murray likely will be back for this game, so it won't be like the first game. You still have them winning this game on the road in division?
It'll be exactly like the first game. I don't care who is their quarterback. By this time, I think this team is imploding. They're talking about firing the coach. The defense isn't playing well. The offense isn't playing well. They're thinking about the number 1 draft pick at this point. New owner, new coach. It's all going wild over there. I don't even think it's a new owner. I don't know. But, yeah, I got them easily winning against the Cardinals.
Okay, fair enough. Strawberry Rack says, Jesse, a little would you rather start Trey and tear down the team, trade CMC, Kittle, etc., or keep the team as is but start any other quarterback? I'd have to start any other quarterback. I mean, I think that the 49ers have a really good team, and I think they have a shot to win a Super Bowl here. And so, I mean, I love Trey Lance. Don't get me wrong. And I think this is a really good would you rather. I love Trey Lance, and I think that long-term he could be the answer for the San Francisco 49ers, but I'm not going to forego my fandom for the team, lose every good player on this roster to see it through. So I got to go with trying to win a championship right now, and hopefully they can get it done. Now, if they don't, that would definitely suck, but that's what I got to go with on that one. That was a good one. Tinker says, I don't think Deebo plays versus the Eagles. Ooh, that's a
bold prediction.
That is a bold prediction. Flav says, if Purdy isn't ready and Trey somehow gets the nod over Darnold, they're starting 1-2 max, and he's out after the Giants game. The guy lost to the Bears in his last full blah, 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 blah. Okay. Sorry, Flav. I can't. We've been going back and forth for multiple days on Twitter as is. I just can't do it again. I don't have the energy for your hatred of Trey Lance. It's very awesome.
Thanks for the $9.99.
But thanks for the $9.99. Okay. Okay. So we both have them winning the Cardinals game as well.
Yes.
So 14 games in, I have them 11-3. You have them at 10-4, right?
Yes.
Or am I off on the schedule?
No, you're right.
Okay.
But that's yeah.
Okay. So I have them coming off of 3 straight wins. You have them coming off of 2 straight wins. Christmas Day game. How lucky are we, by the way, that Thanksgiving Day or night and Christmas night we get to watch our San Francisco 49ers, although we both have them ruining our Thanksgiving by losing to the Seattle Seahawks. Now they get a chance to make Christmas right, playing at home versus the Ravens. How do you see this game going?
Once again, mobile quarterback, the best mobile quarterback possibly in the league. And I'm assuming this is Lamar Jackson's healthy, which is a big assumption, right? Because he has missed the last few seasons when it comes to this late in the season. If Lamar Jackson's playing in this game, I think this is a loss for the 49ers.
Okay. One thing I do like going into this game is if Kyler Murray is healthy, they get a look at a mobile quarterback, and then 2 weeks earlier they would have played the Eagles. So they're as ready as you can be playing Jalen Hurts and Kyler Murray in 2 out of 3 weeks going into this game. But I agree with you. I have them losing on Christmas to the Ravens.
We're not to ruin all our holidays.
Yes, they've ruined both of our holidays. To me, I have them at 11-4. You have them at 10-5 at this point, with 2 games left in the regular season. Now going on New Year's Eve to play the Washington Commanders on the road. How do you have this game going?
Big dub. We bring it in the new year with 49ers winning football, baby. Jesse, I actually have them not losing another game in the season.
Oh, so you're saying all the way through the Super Bowl?
Yes,
all
sir.
the way through. They're just gonna okay. All right. Well, listen. I mean, that's great. I don't know if I'm ready for Super Bowl predictions yet, actually, but I'm gonna get Super Bowl predictions from you here in a second. Okay. So at this point, you have them at 11-5.
Yep.
And I have them at 12-4.
Mm-hmm.
I have them beating the Commanders as well. And then we both have them finishing the season on the road. Well, actually, at home against the Rams on January 6th or 7th, whatever they decide to do. That game is still TBD. So you have them finishing 12-5, and I have them finishing 13-4. So the question I have for you now is, and this is where I said the 49ers are going to do something they haven't done, at least not in the last couple years, as they've gotten ready to go on this playoff push. I believe at 13-4, the San Francisco 49ers are the number 1 overall seed in the NFC, which is going to be crucial. They are going to get that coveted bye week going into the playoffs. Do you think your 12-5 record holds true and they are the best team in the NFC and get the bye? Or do you think they have to play a wild card game?
I think the Eagles are going to be the number 1 seed.
Dang, really?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Interesting. So I have them as the number 1 seed. You don't, but you have them going to the Super Bowl. Tinker said Merry Christmas, by the way. And then I said, or then he followed it up and said it actually could be the Ravens 49ers Super Bowl. Think about it. What popped into my head was the
Harbaugh ball.
No, yeah, that also. That would be great, by the way. My son is a Ravens fan. He's a Lamar Jackson fan. We're going to watch that game together on Christmas. So if the 49ers don't win, I'll be happy for him. Obviously not happy the 49ers lost, but I could stomach it, see the smile on my son's face. But that would be a great Super Bowl. But no, I was thinking of Dave Chappelle when he was doing his Dylon impression. And then at the end, he said, think about it. That's what I thought of when he said, think about it. Okay. So then the question is, who do they play in the Super Bowl? You have them winning the Super Bowl. Who are they playing in the Super Bowl?
Kansas City.
I like it. I like it. So you have them getting right against the Eagles to go to the Super Bowl, I assume.
Yeah.
And then getting right and finally beating the Kansas City Chiefs to get that Super Bowl back. I love it. That would be a storybook season.
Jesse, in the battle of the light-skinned, curly-hair boys, Trey Lance takes it, baby.
I like it. Hey, I would love nothing more than the 49ers to win the Super Bowl with Trey Lance beating Patrick Mahomes and Jalen Hurts along the way. I love it. I think a lot of people were mad at you with some of those losses you gave, but you just it's like Dumb and Dumber, man. As soon as I thought you couldn't get any dumber, you go and totally redeem yourself. I absolutely love it. Flav says not hate, but realistic instead of blind hope. Flav,
Thanks for your $1.99, Flav. I think he gave you another
back
one.
and forth, man. Yeah. It's interesting how two people can watch the same games and then come away with completely different outlooks. But if you want some fun, go check out the Twitter thread between Flav and I. I think there's a lot of fun going back and forth there. Flav says, not hate, just can't swap logic for hope like the stands. You're a Jimmy G stan, and I try to tell you that man's not very good. You still think he's good. I don't know what to tell you.
You should make some Trey Stans shirt. Last Second Sports. Yeah,
I should make some Trey Stans shirt for sure. I should. I think that'd be a lot of fun. Tinker says, playing whoever, but we get 6. I'm fine with that, man. If the 49ers get 6, Paul says that they're playing against Miami. So I think the 49ers play the Bengals in the Super Bowl. That's my Super Bowl prediction. I have the 49ers playing the Bengals. You have the 49ers playing the Chiefs. I actually have the Bengals winning the Super Bowl. So my storybook's not as good. I picked this like 2 months ago on the second channel. I have a Bengals video. I picked the Bengals as my way too early Super Bowl prediction to win the Super Bowl. I didn't say who they would play. I had to see some things play out. I do think the 49ers can definitely represent the NFC, but this one might end in heartbreak again. We'll see. We'll see how the season goes, though. I mean, obviously, a lot can change. I mean, last year I had the 49ers and Bills. Neither of those teams, that was my preseason prediction. Neither of those teams made it. So a lot can happen for sure. Both those teams got close, but the season's long, man. There's a lot of injuries. You just never know what's going to happen. But to pick the 49ers to go to the Super Bowl this early for both of us, I think that's pretty cool. Pretty cool. And I also don't look at it as like a homer thing, because I think you and I are pretty realistic when it comes to the 49ers. We definitely will let them have it if we feel like they need it. So for both of us at this point to pick the 49ers to go to the Super Bowl, I mean, that should either make people feel really good, or we're just both really wrong and you shouldn't feel good at all. I don't know. I don't know which one, but either way. Twisted Clown says 2 people watching the same game with different outcomes. Kyle versus the fans. Yeah, it's very true. Very true. Tinker says, where is the Super Bowl play? It's in Vegas. It is. Interesting. So I was just in Vegas, not this last weekend, but the weekend before, and they have Formula One races that they're getting ready for that are actually, the race is going to be on the Strip, which is pretty cool. And they have the Super Bowl. Believe it or not, they said that the Formula One race will bring in triple the amount to that city than the Super Bowl. I thought that was interesting.
Mm-hmm. And I already tried to look to get hotels and stuff.
Good luck.
Good luck. Good luck, and save your money right now.
Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah. You were you trying to stay at the Bunny Ranch?
I was just trying to stay anywhere at that point. I was like, man, even the cheaper hotels are ridiculous as far as prices and stuff. If you could even find one that's available.
Jimmy, hey, cashing in on that Lifetime thing, huh? Good to see you here, man. Too bad you guys couldn't make the Super Bowl. Tinker says, remember the 49ers and Raiders Super Bowl? Oh, gosh, dude. No way, man. There's zero chance of that happening. I'll just say it right now. Zero chance that happens. I don't even think the Raiders make the playoffs. I know Jimmy G's great, Flav, but I don't think Jimmy G can do it alone. You know, he's
Tinker.
It's hard to carry teams. No, I know Tinker, but I'm going back to Flav, who's a Jimmy G fan. I know that he's carried the 49ers for all these years. I don't know what we're going to do without him, but I don't think he has it in him to carry the Raiders. Maybe I'm wrong. We'll see how that goes.
Raiders might have the worst QB room in the league because, look, it's a even season, right? So we know Jimmy's probably going down for the season because he's every other season he stays healthy. So that means they go to Brian Hoyer, and that's the quarterback that you think is going to take the team to the Super Bowl. Highly unlikely.
Yeah, probably not. But it'd be fun. I mean, shoot, Raiders have a home game. And I definitely think the 49ers win that game. They'd make Jimmy look silly. So I would love that one for sure.
Tom Brady
That
comes
being
back.
said, what's that?
Tom Brady comes back for the Raiders.
Tom Brady
the
comes
last...
back. Oh gosh. That would be crazy. That would be crazy. All right, y'all. Listen, thank you so much for tapping in. Appreciate each and every one of you. And also, I want to give a shout out to everybody. I was 29 subs away on my second channel from reaching 1,000 and being able to monetize over there. I put out a little blurb on the community tab in this channel, just like, hey, if you could go show me love over there, go subscribe, help get me to monetization. Within 2 hours, over like 130 of you went over there and subbed. So whoever, all of you guys that are subbed over there, all of you that went over there and subbed, that was awesome. Thank you all so much for helping me out. I really appreciate it. I thought that was really cool. I thought it was cool that the community showed that much love that quickly. Really appreciate it. I think I'll do the call-in show probably Thursday this week, and then Wednesday I'll be back on 49ers After Dark. Until then, peace.